15 rock falls you're not meant to see. Mountains, majestic, serene, and sometimes deadly. These rock falls will make you think twice about standing too close to a cliff. Number 15. On January 28, 2023, in the quiet valley of Palolo, Honolulu, Hawaii, Caroline Sasaki, a 65-year-old resident of the newly built home on the hillside, was getting ready for bed. Palolo, known for its lush scenic views, sits nestled against steep hills just a few miles from Waikiki's famous beaches. But for all its beauty, this valley carries a hidden danger. The steep hill above Caroline's home had been stable for decades, even during the worst storms. But that night, something was different. Recently, there had been changes, construction work on the hillside, reshaping the landscape in ways that made many uneasy. The locals had been keeping an eye on it, noticing small shifts and changes. Some said they saw rocks loosen, even trickling down now and then. Caroline had her own concerns. After all, she had lived in this spot for a long time and knew that the land around her had a mind of its own. Moments later, when she least expected it, this happened. A 5-by-5-foot boulder crashed through a concrete wall, smashed a parked car, and plowed straight into the second floor of her home, barely missing her by mere feet. It all happened so fast she didn't even see the rock coming. "All I heard was a boom," Caroline said later, still shaken by the close call. "If I took one more step, I probably wouldn't be here." To make matters worse, this wasn't an isolated incident. Just recently, another resident reported a smaller rock, around 2 feet by 2 feet, crashing into their home. People are now on edge, wondering what's next. Is the construction to blame, or is it something more? For Caroline and her neighbors, this event has changed everything. The hillside that was once a backdrop to their daily lives now feels like a looming threat. A stark reminder that in places like Palolo Valley, even in the comfort of your own home, nature can strike in the blink of an eye, leaving you just inches from disaster. Number 14. September 6, 2021 was a typical September morning in Jaori, a small town tucked away in the Shimla district of Himachal Pradesh, India. The National Highway 5, a lifeline connecting the bustling markets of Shimla to the remote villages of Kinnaur, was busy as usual. This road, known for its steep turns and towering cliffs, sees hundreds of vehicles every day. Trucks carrying goods, buses full of passengers, and locals on their daily commutes. But on this day, something felt different. Some travelers noticed small stones and bits of soil starting to tumble down the hillside, a warning sign that seasoned drivers know all too well. The traffic had already been halted by the cautious authorities after these first signs of trouble. People pulled over, watching from a safe distance, some even recording with their phones. And then, just as the sun began to rise higher in the sky, this happened. A rockfall struck around 9 a.m., catching everyone off guard, but miraculously, no injuries. The early warnings of falling debris had prompted drivers to stop well in advance. The highway carved into the mountainside suddenly seemed vulnerable, a narrow path against the might of the hill. But why here? Why now? The Shimla district, especially areas like Jaori, sit in the heart of the Himalayan foothills, where landslides are not uncommon, particularly during the tail end of the monsoon season. Over weeks of heavy rain, the soil becomes waterlogged and heavy, weakening the slopes. This time, it was just enough to tip the balance, sending tons of rock and earth cascading down. Experts believe the continuous rain had slowly eroded the base of the slope, and the lack of proper support on the roadside made the situation even worse. And as the cleanup continues, one thing is certain: on roads like these, there's always more to the story than meets the eye. Number 13. On a routine day in Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand, one of the country's largest provinces known for its bustling limestone quarries, workers were focused on the usual task of loading boulders into trucks. Quarries like this are essential to Thailand's construction industry, contributing over 20% to the local economy. But they come with risks, especially during the monsoon season when the ground can become unstable. This quarry, located in the region notorious for its fragile terrain, features a rock face standing about 100 feet in height. They were used to small landslides, but what happened next, no one saw coming. Incredibly, no one was hurt. This was a close call, a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of working in a quarry. The rock slope's failure wasn't just a fluke, it was a culmination of conditions like recent rains loosening the ground and possibly the constant vibrations from the machinery that caused the ground to shift. What happened here isn't entirely uncommon. Quarry collapses like this can happen several times a year globally, but to capture it on video is a rare occasion. Had the trucks been positioned just a few feet closer to the rock face, the story might have been very different. The quick thinking of the drivers, reversing just in time, was crucial, but it also was sheer luck that they escaped unharmed. Number 12. On a clear day in Chulia, Spain, Swiss mountaineer by the name of Stefan Bartel and his team were setting new routes on the steep limestone cliffs, a routine part of their climbing lives. Chulia is a favorite among climbers, with its towering walls and over 800 routes, ranging from friendly climbs to those requiring an 80-meter rope. But here, among the rugged beauty, danger is always just a stone's throw away. During a routine bolting session, where climbers secure anchors and clear away any loose rock, everything seemed under control. The crew was focused, every move calculated for safety, until this happened.
Whoa!
Stefan and his crew were incredibly fortunate. The area was remote and no other climbers were nearby. Thanks to their careful safety measures and quick thinking, no one was hurt. However, it was a stark reminder that even the most experienced climbers can never fully predict nature's behavior. Rockfalls like these are rare in Chulia, but not unheard of. The limestone cliffs, shaped over thousands of years, can develop cracks and weaknesses that are invisible to the naked eye. The risk is part of the thrill and the challenge of climbing here, but it also highlights the importance of taking every precaution. Even the smallest shift in a rock can turn a peaceful climb into a race for survival. Number 11. On October 13, 2011, David Nolan, an adventurous traveler from Ireland, joined a guided tour on the Franz Josef Glacier in New Zealand. David, like many who visited this stunning landscape, was drawn by the promise of experiencing one of nature's most breathtaking wonders up close. Little did he know that this day would be etched in his memory forever. Not just for the awe-inspiring beauty of the glacier, but for a heart-stopping moment that could have ended in tragedy. The Franz Josef Glacier is a marvel of nature, a 12-kilometer-long river of ice descending from the southern Alps down to less than 300 meters above sea level. It's one of the few places in the world where you can see a glacier so close to the ocean, a place where the power of nature is on full display, constantly shifting and changing. David, who had been traveling through New Zealand during the Rugby World Cup, joined a group of tourists on a guided hike, eager to explore this icy wonderland. Led by an experienced guide, the group made their way through the glacier's cracks and ice formations, taking in the stunning views. But as they began their descent, the serene atmosphere was shattered when this happened. The screen filled with dust and debris as a massive rockfall crashed down from a cliff above. Rocks the size of cars tumble past the group, smashing into the ice just meters away. David's camera captures the entire scene as he and the others duck for cover, shielding their heads while their guide shouts instructions. For a moment, the glacier turns from its pristine white to a thick cloud of gray. It was a terrifying close call. Rocks flew past, some landing alarmingly close to where the group had been walking moments earlier. David's footage shows just how lucky they were. Any closer, and this story could have ended very differently. Thankfully, no one was injured. The quick reflexes of the guide, who noticed the early signs of a rockfall and shouted for everyone to take cover, likely saved them from disaster. You can hear the urgency in the guide's voice and see the tension in the faces of the tourists as they realize the gravity of what just happened. For David and the others, it was a day they'd never forget, an adventure on the Franz Josef Glacier that turned into a story of survival, luck, and an unforgettable brush with the unexpected. Number 10. On Memorial Day, May 30th, 2022, at Lake Powell, what began as a peaceful holiday outing quickly turned into a heart-stopping encounter with nature's fury. A man by the name of Steve Carter, a resident of Thatcher, Arizona, was enjoying the day on the water with his wife, Mila, near the entrance to Warm Creek Bay, where the towering cliffs of the Colorado Plateau overlook the lake. As they cruised along, they noticed a few rocks and sand beginning to fall from the cliff above. What seemed like a minor, almost insignificant event soon became much more alarming. The couple decided to pause and observe, sensing that something big was about to happen. The calm of the day hung in the air for just a moment longer, and then, without warning, this happened. A massive chunk of the cliff suddenly broke loose, crashing into the lake below. The impact sent a huge wave racing toward their boat. Steve acted fast, speeding away just in time to avoid the wave that could have easily overturned them. Once the danger passed, Steve and Mila were left in shock, trying to comprehend what they had just witnessed. Mila, who caught the whole thing on her phone, described how they stopped the boat afterward, watching as the water and debris slowly settled back down. The experience left them both deeply shaken, a stark reminder of how quickly a peaceful day can turn into a fight for survival. The incident was a direct result of the extreme drought that had plagued the region for over 2 decades. Lake Powell, once a vast reservoir, now sits at just 24% of its capacity, making such events much more likely. Number 9. On the last day of August in 2013, at 4:20 p.m., in the port city of Keelung, Taiwan, a routine drive through the mountainous coastal roads turned into a near-death experience. Keelung, a city shaped by its rugged landscape and frequent downpours, often finds itself battling the raw power of nature. Located in northern Taiwan, it's surrounded by steep hills and cliffs that can become risky, especially when the weather turns rough. This day was far from ordinary. Tropical storm Kong-ray had just swept through the region, unleashing heavy rain, widespread flooding, and landslides. The storm poured over 20 inches of rain across Taiwan, leaving Keelung's already delicate mountainsides on the brink. As a man named Lai Hongwei drove cautiously along one of Keelung's winding coastal roads, the effects of the storm were all too apparent. The cliffs towering above the road had been weakened by days of continuous rain, and though the storm had moved on, the danger was far from over. And then, as Lai cautiously made his way along the slippery road, this happened. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, so massive, so terrifying, it seemed certain that the driver's fate was sealed. But fate had other plans. In what can only be described as a miracle, the boulder halted just inches from the car, a giant force of nature frozen in its path. The car, though battered by the rockfall, was miraculously spared the final blow. And just when you catch your breath, the driver emerges, stepping out into the chaos, unbelievably unscathed. But the story doesn't end there. Above that road, another giant boulder hangs, precariously balanced, 28,250 cubic feet of solid rock, weighing a mind-boggling 2,000 tons. Imagine that thing coming down. It would be like a bomb going off. Cars, buildings, anything in its path would be obliterated. The locals are understandably terrified. They call it the Sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. Every rumble, every tremor, it's a reminder that disaster could strike at any moment. The authorities have a plan. They're going to inject it with chemicals, silent explosives they call them. It'll crack the boulder from the inside, hopefully in a controlled way. It's a risky operation, but it's their only hope. The whole thing's a testament to human resilience. We build roads, we carve out lives in the shadows of these mountains, but we're always at their mercy. Nature's power is humbling, terrifying, and undeniably awe-inspiring. Number 8. On September 27, 2023, at around 3:10 p.m. in Chengzhou City, Sichuan Province, a routine day turned into a dramatic encounter with nature's unpredictable power. Chengzhou, located in the western part of China, is known for its scenic landscapes and historic significance. The roads in Chengzhou wind through these mountainous terrains, connecting small towns and villages that rely on them for daily commutes and transportation of goods. One such road is the Jiguanshan Road, a key route that cuts through the mountains, offering stunning views but also presenting significant risks. On that fateful afternoon, a yellow truck was making its way along the Jiguanshan Road. The region had been hit with days of heavy rain, soaking the ground and making a rockfall almost inevitable. The mountainsides, already under pressure from the relentless downpours, were on the brink of giving way. The driver knew the dangers, moving cautiously, but in an instant, the mountain made its move, and this happened. Imagine being behind the wheel when suddenly the ground you trust to stay firm starts to crumble. The driver of the truck saw the mountainside give way, a moment of sheer terror as the earth itself seemed to break free. The driver's quick reflexes saved him from being buried alive, reversing just in time to escape the advancing wall of rock and mud. Despite the terrifying event, no casualties were reported, thanks in large part to the quick thinking of the truck driver and the timely response from local authorities. Temporary traffic restrictions were quickly enforced, and efforts to clear the debris and stabilize the area began immediately. But as the rain-soaked earth reclaimed the road, one can't help but wonder, how secure are the paths we take every day? In a place where beauty and danger coexist so closely, this event serves as a haunting reminder that beneath the surface of our familiar world, something far more powerful stirs, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Number 7. July 25th, 2021 started off just like any other day in Batsari, a small village tucked away in the Sangla Valley of Himachal Pradesh, India. Batsari is known for its stunning scenery, where steep hills and deep valleys shape the daily lives of the people living there. The monsoon rains had been pouring down non-stop for days, soaking the ground and setting the stage for something no one saw coming. That afternoon, the rain slowed down, but the air was still heavy and humid. A quiet recording of the misty hills was underway, but then, without a hint of warning, this happened. The most terrifying moment captured in the footage was when the Batsari Bailey Bridge, a crucial lifeline connecting remote villages across the Baspa River, was struck by the rocks, collapsing the rubble within seconds. It's a scene that feels almost unreal, a sudden show of nature's raw power without any warning. As you watch, you can almost feel the ground shaking, hear the rocks splitting, and sense the immense force that brought a steel bridge crumbling down. For those watching from the hotel room, it was more than just a rockfall. It was a stark reminder of how quickly the familiar can become a threat, how the landscape they love can suddenly turn dangerous. What triggered this massive rockfall? Experts from the Geological Survey of India soon pinpointed several factors. The area's fragile rock formations and active fault lines, combined with days of relentless rain, had turned the mountainside into a ticking bomb. The downpour had loosened the soil and weakened the rocks, setting the stage for a catastrophic collapse. As rescue teams arrived, their mission was clear: secure the area, clear the debris, and stay prepared for more rockfalls that might come from the unstable slopes. Barriers were put up, warnings issued, but the reality was harsh. This wasn't a random event. It was a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle between people and nature in this rugged Himalayan region. For the people of Batsari, the day was a harsh reminder of their place in this ever-changing landscape. It left them with a lingering question: how do you find peace in a place that could turn against you at any moment? Number 6. On October 19, 2015, in the quiet Swiss village of Evelena, nestled in the heart of the Swiss Alps, the morning was anything but ordinary. Evelena, a small and charming community in the canton of Valais, sits beneath the towering Rocher du Mel de la Niva, a mountain that rises over 9,000 feet. It's a stunning landscape, but also one that carries a hidden threat. For years, geologists had been watching this mountain closely. Since 2013, they noticed small movements, a sign that the mountain was slowly shifting. The villagers knew that life in the Alps comes with its risks, especially when the ground beneath your feet might be on the move. Just days before, scientists detected significant changes in the rock stability. The mountain seemed to be holding its breath, and so were the people of Evelena. And then, on the morning of October 19th, this happened.
Oh putain, oh putain.
A geologist, camera in hand, captured the exact moment when 70,629 cubic feet of solid rock, a massive chunk the size of a small building, broke loose from the mountain. The rock fell over 1,000 feet, crashing down the mountainside, tearing through trees, and sending a cloud of dust into the air. The noise echoed across the valley like a thunderclap, a stark reminder of nature's raw power. For those watching, it was like witnessing the earth itself come alive. The rockfall triggered an avalanche, creating a path of destruction down the mountainside. Yet, no one was caught off guard. Thanks to the careful monitoring by the geologists, the small hamlet of Arbay below had been evacuated just a day earlier, and nearby roads were closed. Their foresight ensured that everyone was out of harm's way before the rocks began to tumble. So, what caused this sudden release of such a massive amount of rock? The answer lies in the mountain's geology. Over time, water seeps into the cracks of the rock. As temperatures drop, the water freezes and expands, slowly prying the rock apart, a process known as frost wedging. After years of this, the rock is no longer stable, just waiting for the perfect moment to break free. While it's easy to admire the beauty of the Alps, moments like these remind us of the forces constantly at work, reshaping the landscape over centuries. The villagers of Evelena know this well. They live on the edge between awe-inspiring beauty and unpredictable danger. As they watched from a safe distance, it was a humbling reminder that the mountains, as solid as they seem, are never truly still. For now, the village remains safe, but the event serves as a powerful reminder. In places like Evelena, where life meets the mountain, it's not a question of if the rocks will move, but when. Number 5. On August 8, 2023, a calm summer evening in West Bay, Dorset, turned to a close call that no one on the beach will ever forget. West Bay, famously known as the Golden Gateway to the Jurassic Coast, is a popular destination with its towering 150-foot cliffs and stunning coastal views. It's a place where families gather together to enjoy the scenery, snap photos, and relax under the sun. But as beautiful as these cliffs are, they come with hidden dangers that most visitors fail to consider. The sandstone cliffs at West Bay have stood for millions of years, shaped by the relentless forces of wind and water. However, their beauty masks their fragility. Signs along the beach warn people to keep their distance, but these warnings often go unnoticed, particularly by those captivated by the dramatic backdrop. One such person, by the name of Daniel Nag, who happened to be filming from a nearby vantage point, was capturing the scene as beachgoers wandered dangerously close to the cliff's edge. And then, just as the sun began to set, this happened. The three people sprinting away from the falling rock knew they had just cheated death by mere seconds. Daniel, still recording, couldn't believe his eyes. One moment, calm and beauty. The next, chaos and danger. What would you do if the ground you trust suddenly decides to collapse? It's a chilling thought. This rockfall, like so many along the Jurassic Coast, happened without notice, reminding us that these cliffs are alive in their own way, constantly shifting and changing, often in ways we can't predict. So, why did it happen? The cliffs of West Bay are made of soft sandstone, a material that is easily worn down by natural elements. Years of erosion, coupled with cracks that have widened over time, create perfect conditions for such collapses. Recent weather patterns had left the cliffs particularly unstable. Dry spells followed by heavy rains can cause the rock to expand and contract, pushing it to its breaking point. The result? A sudden dramatic rockfall like the one that unfolded on that fateful evening. Local authorities moved quickly to close the southwest coast path above the cliffs, reminding everyone that rockfalls and landslips can happen at any time. Experts knew this collapse was only a matter of time. The warning signs had been visible for years, but nature chose that particular moment to make a statement. And for those who witnessed it, one question remains: is the view ever worth the risk? When standing at the edge of something as unpredictable as the cliffs of West Bay, it's a question everyone should ask themselves. After all, how close is too close when you're flirting with forces beyond your control? Number 4. On October 3, 2018, a peaceful drive along the winding roads of Bomei County, Tibet, almost turned into a nightmare. This part of Tibet is known for its stunning yet rugged landscapes, where the majestic Himalayas meet the lush greenery of the region. It's a place where nature shows its beauty, but also its unpredictable side. Drivers on these roads know well the challenges they face, from sharp turns to narrow lanes, and the ever-present risk of falling rocks. But even with that awareness, nothing could prepare the driver of the silver SUV on that day. The vehicle was cruising along the G318, a major highway that stretches over 3,355 miles, connecting the bustling city of Shanghai with the quiet border of Tibet and Nepal. It's a road famed for its scenic views and dangerous terrain. All seemed normal as the SUV navigated the curve until, in a heartbeat, this happened. The boulder smashes into the SUV with such force that the vehicle is sent spinning. It's a heart-stopping moment, the kind that leaves you holding your breath, hoping against hope that the occupants are safe. Miraculously, the massive rock strikes just the bonnet of the car. It's a critical hit, but not a deadly one. Inside the SUV, despite the chaos, the passengers remain unharmed. They survive the horrifying accident, a testament to a mixture of engineering, luck, and perhaps fate. Authorities in Bomei County responded by inspecting the road and temporarily closing it for repairs. The SUV, though badly damaged, was eventually towed away, and the passengers, no doubt shaken, were left to reflect on their narrow escape. As you watch the clip, it's hard not to wonder, what if the timing had been just a little different? What if the boulder had hit a second later, or the car had been traveling just a bit faster? These thoughts linger, a stark reminder of how fragile life can be in the face of nature's raw power. The mountains, with all their beauty, hold secrets and dangers that can reveal themselves at any moment, without warning. Number 3. On March 19, 2019, in the remote Kohistan district of northern Pakistan, passengers aboard 2 buses found themselves on a dangerous journey along the Karakoram Highway. The highway, often referred to as the 8th wonder of the world, is renowned not only for its breathtaking scenery, but also for its sheer unpredictability. The road, which stretches over 800 miles from Islamabad in Pakistan to Kashgar in China, is carved into the rugged mountains of the Karakoram Range, home to some of the highest peaks in the world, including Nanga Parbat and Rakaposhi. The highway had already been closed for 8 days due to relentless rains that pounded the region, causing the mountain slopes to weaken. The rains had saturated the ground, setting the stage for something ominous. As the buses made their way through one of the narrowest and most treacherous sections of the highway, this happened. Oh, you felt that, didn't you? The shock of those massive boulders crashing down, drivers swerving, rocks flying. It's chaos. And yet, incredibly, everyone walks away unscathed. This stretch of the Karakoram Highway has always been at the mercy of nature, especially when the rains loosen the mountain's grip on its rocky edges. Landslides like these are common, but they never get any less terrifying. The highway, a vital artery for trade and travel, has seen more than its share of danger. Construction of this road, which began back in 1959, cost the lives of over 1,000 workers, most of them lost to landslides just like the one we witnessed. And despite these risks, it's still a lifeline connecting Pakistan to China, winding through a landscape that can shift from serene to savage in a heartbeat. For those on the bus that day, it's a story they'll carry with them forever. The Karakoram Highway may be a road of friendship, but it's also a road of constant challenge. Would you dare take a trip knowing that the next rockfall could be just around the corner? Number 2. On September 23, 2011, a group of walkers found themselves in the midst of an extraordinary natural event along the North Cliffs near Hell's Mouth in Cornwall, England. This coastal area, known for its dramatic cliffs and rugged beauty, has long been a popular spot for hikers and sightseers. But on that day, something far more dramatic than the usual serene views was about to unfold. The cliffs along this stretch of Cornwall are formed from Devonian metasediments, ancient rock layers that have been weathered and battered by the relentless forces of wind and sea for millions of years. Over the course of a few days leading up to the event, tension cracks had been observed along the cliff top, slowly growing in size as the ground below shifted and settled. What made this event more chilling was the location, Hell's Mouth, a place steeped in eerie names and ominous legends. Not far from here lies Dead Man's Cove, and the entire area is notorious for its treacherous terrain and frequent rockfalls. Warnings had been there, but the reality was far more shocking when this happened. As you just saw, tens of thousands of tons of rock suddenly broke free, cascading into the Atlantic Ocean below in a breathtaking display of nature's raw power. This event was captured from a safe distance on video by Richard Hawking and Brian O'Connell, engineers at Cornwall Council, who happened to be assessing the area at the time. These cliffs are constantly under assault from the elements. The relentless pounding of the waves at their base, combined with the force of the wind, gradually weakens the rock formations. Over time, this process leads to the creation of tension cracks, which can rapidly expand as they did in this case, eventually leading to catastrophic failure. One of the most remarkable aspects of this event is the sheer size of the collapse. Geologist Pete Hobbs from the British Geological Survey estimated that around 100,000 tons of rock fell into the sea that day. He noted, "This is some of the best footage I've ever seen of a rockfall. It's absolutely amazing." Experts warned that more rockfalls were inevitable, urging caution for those who visit the area. As Andy Bridgen, Cornwall Council's maritime manager, puts it, "These things happen. It's impossible to halt the erosion of the coast, and more rockfalls will happen." For those who visit these cliffs, the experience is now tinged with a sense of awe and respect for the forces that have shaped and continue to shape this rugged landscape. And for the walkers who captured this incredible footage, it's an encounter with nature they will never forget. Number 1. March 2nd, 2024. A typical day on the Central Highway in the San Mateo district of Peru, or so it seemed. This highway, known for its breathtaking views, is also infamous for its unpredictability. It's a lifeline through the Andean mountains, connecting remote communities, but its winding curves and towering cliffs have always carried a lurking danger. In the days leading up to this event, heavy rains had pounded the region, loosening the ground and creating the perfect conditions for a disaster. The locals know these roads well. They know the risks. But for the two lorry drivers navigating the treacherous curves that morning, all seemed routine, until suddenly this happened. What you've just seen is the exact moment when tons of rock and earth gave way, crashing down with immense force onto two cargo trucks. The first boulder, massive enough to match the size of the lorry itself, came roaring down, crushing the lead truck into a heap of metal. And just when it seemed like the worst had passed, another giant rock thundered down, narrowly missing the driver of the second truck who had seconds to jump out. Both drivers were incredibly lucky to survive, but the destruction was total. The road, a critical artery in this mountainous region, was constantly choked with debris, causing hours of gridlock. Authorities suspect that the rains had weakened the mountainside, triggering the sudden collapse. This stretch of the Central Highway, located near the 97th kilometer mark in San Mateo de Huanchor, has seen its share of rockfalls, but nothing quite like this. Landslides here are more common during the rainy season, but this latest one, with boulders as large as hippos tumbling down, left everyone stunned. And while road officials quickly moved in to clear the debris, concerns are mounting about the road's safety as it remains a vital but vulnerable link for thousands of people who traverse it daily. As the investigation continues, one thing is clear. The threat of rockfalls along these routes is real, constant, and often devastating. And for those who drive through these treacherous passes, every journey is a gamble against nature's might. If you thought witnessing the destructive force of rockfalls was intense, then these 40 lightning strikes that will leave you shocked ought to make you reconsider going outside during a storm ever again.